Everybody, welcome back to Modern Randy. Today I'm going over one of the Pioneer decks that you're going to be seeing here in the RCQ season coming up, as well as any of the Pioneer tournaments you might run into, or anything you're going to be doing in Pioneer, basically. So we are talking about the only Arc-like Phoenix deck that is running around, and pretty much is about like 15 to 20% of the meta at any given time. So I figured I'd just go over this, kind of explain what the deck's doing, why it's so dominant, why it's doing so well, and kind of pinpoint like why you might want to play this at your next RCQ, depending on what your budget restraints are or what kind of cards you already have access to. So going over just like the main core of the deck. So obviously the goal is here to put Arc-like Phoenix into the graveyard, and then play 3 instant and or sorceries and get it back and just start beating your opponent for 3, 6, 9, 12 a turn. So going over basically the core of the deck is you have your Arc-like Phoenix, obviously. You have Picklock Prankster. More importantly, this card has Free the Fae, which is like little adventure spell or little spell you get to cast along with it being a 1/3 flying vigilance. It doesn't matter. So Free the Fae is kind of what put this deck back onto the map, I want to say. It being 1 an instant and 2 1 mana cheaper than what we used to have to play with Pieces of the Puzzle is just so dominating. So being able to mill 4 cards and then put either an instant, a sorcery, or another fairy into your hand from the milled cards is huge. So you can either get back another Pricklock Prankster out of your 4. You're getting a Consider, Sleight of Hand, any of your removal spells, a Treasure Cruise. Like any of these cards are just good cards to hit. You're also filling up your graveyard then to be able to delve for Treasure Cruise or Temporal Trespass. You also get to put Phoenixes in the yard. Like there's nothing better than when you get to go mill over 4 cards, hit 2 Phoenixes and like a Consider, and you're just like, you feel like you're on top of the world. Like you cannot do better than that. Maybe 3 Phoenixes and a Consider is probably the best you can do. But, like that is just amazing when you are able to do that. So you have Picklock Prankster. You also have, obviously, your Arc-like Phoenix and then your Ledger Shredder, which basically just is a way to get rid of Arc-like Phoenixes when they're stuck in your hand. This deck plays, so many so many low 1-drop spells and such that like it's very easy to double spell every turn, basically after like turn 2, turn 3. Like you should be double spelling, if not triple spelling, almost every turn, because all your cards either just replace themselves or draws more cards. So it's so easy just to continuously keep Ledger Shredder going, and then Ledger Shredder by itself will just become crazy and out of hand. Like it's very easy to attack for 3, 4 a turn with Ledger Shredder early on and just make them something that you have to deal with. And then we also are playing 1 Brazen Borrower, basically just for the petty theft ability, being able to bounce anything, kind of get rid of blockers, get rid of annoying things that are on the field. Also notably, it is a Fairy Rogue, which allows you to get it back with Free the Fae in case you're you're really digging for something and you need that like bounce effect or whatever. You can get that with Free the Fae from Picklock Prankster. But we also are playing 4 Considers, being able to bin a Arc-like Phoenix that's on the top of your deck into your graveyard. Amazing feeling. Lets you draw a card. We have Opt as well. There we go. Opt as well. Scry 1, draw a card, and then Sleight of Hand. And one of the other newest additions of this deck, being able to look at the top 2 cards, put 1 into your hand. Just more selection to be able to find your Picklock Prankster, find your Treasure Cruise, find whatever you need to get this deck going. And then of course we're playing 4 Lightning Axes, again a way to bin Arc-like Phoenix that's stuck in your hand, and then Fiery Impulse as our other 1 mana spell of choice to be able to deal 3 damage to any creature, because we just need to get rid of creatures essentially. That's our problem here. And then we have our 2 Spell Pierces, and Galvanic Iteration kind of is just a utility spells essentially. Goes along with our Brazen Borrower, essentially. Just kind of like utility spells, early game interactions, and then Galvanic Iterations obviously good if you can go, 3 mana, draw 6 cards with Treasure Cruise is huge, or, 5 mana, take 2 extra turns with Temporal Trespass as well. Just, again, another big way to just pull straight ahead or pull out of the game and put your opponent in the dust. And, of course, the namesake of why this deck is so well is Treasure Cruise. Turns out, 1 mana, draw 3 cards is almost like a power 9 level spell. Who would have guessed? And then, of course, the Temporal Trespass, which, only playing 1 of these because it's not common that you're going to get to have like 8 cards in your graveyard plus triple blue is a little bit more of a challenging on the mana base. You know, we are only running 19 lands, but it's in there because you can just pull out the game. You know, it's very easy. It's very crazy when you're able to go like you have like an arc like Phoenix or you know 2 Legislators that are like a couple power, and you're just like, all right, cool. I'm gonna Temporal Trespass, take an extra turn, go to my next turn, play 3 spells, get back a couple Phoenixes, attack for just you know bunches of damage, and just like pull straight ahead or pull out of the game where your opponent's not going to be able to keep up or catch up. And then of course it has, you know, we have our little sideboard over here. Running 2 negates basically is a good way against control, against yeah, Lotus Field, things like that. The things that you want to have a hard counter for. Also have the Mystical Disputes again against control, things like that nature. One Prismari command just kind of as a little catch-all, be able to dig a little deeper, be able to destroy those pesky artifacts as well. Also have an Aether Gust here, as well to help just you know deal with the problematic red and green permanents, things like that. Really good against like the Amalia combo decks, things like that, being able to just stop their Quarter Callings, things of that nature. 1 extra Brazier Baller is another good catch-all, and then we have our Young Pyromancers and Crackling Drakes against what we, you know, if you expect to have a bunch of artifact Graveyard Hate or Graveyard Exile. Crackling Drake doesn't care if your Graveyard Exile, it's still going to be super big because it counts, you know, spells in Graveyard and Exile as well. So that's a good one for that. And then obviously Young Pyromancer is another good catch-all because, you know, just lets you cantrip, you're just making an infinite board over there, getting outsized or going wide instead of going tall. And then we have our Ashiok here as a good way against somewhat of Lotus Field, also against the mirror match. You're going to run into if you're playing Phoenix, you're going to run into Phoenix. Phoenix is a good deck. It's something you're going to see. And then we also have our Anger of the Gods as well against you know, small creature decks, like Evokes, things like that, as well as the Amalia combo. Just being able to exile their creatures and board wipe them is very good. Overall, though, this is something you can expect to see going into any of these RCQs coming up, as well as if you're going to just any other Pioneer tournament. Arclight Phoenix is one of the decks to play. It's one of the decks to beat. Like I said, it's somewhere between 15 to 20% of the meta given any time of the day and what kind of percentages you're looking at, just or how far back you're going. But it's a great deck to pick up. It's honestly relatively super cheap too. Honestly, like if you have the land base, that's like 95% of your money right there. So I mean, we got Spiral of Canals also getting reprinted here in the new Thunder Junction sets. This is a really cheap deck to pick up if you're looking for something that, if you're looking for something that's going to do well in a tournament, that you can, you know, get some good reps in, get some good practice in, and just start getting better at it. The deck's relatively cheap. The only expensive card in this entire deck, outside of the land base, is just this Temporal Trespass. It's about like an $18 to $20 card. You can cut this card. This isn't something that all Phoenix decks are playing. Some of them are down, like we're all of them are down to 1 copy, obviously, but some of them won't cut it completely. Some of them are still playing it. It is something you can easily cut as well if that's something like, you know, out of your budget. But outside of that, most of these cards are very cheap, and it's a good deck that you can take. You only get better with it the more you practice with it. That being said, though, obviously, if you guys like these kind of videos, you like what I'm doing, give me a like, give me a subscribe, you know, all that fun jazz. Leave a comment if there's anything you want to see differently. Also, I do a podcast with a creator known as Dakota or Crawdaddy23. I'll have a link in the description for his channel. But we do a podcast that comes out every Saturday. I'll kind of just talk about what's going on in Pioneer, what's going on in Modern. We touch spaces on Standard sometimes and the other formats as well. We'll mostly focus on those two and just kind of keep everyone informed of what's going on. And obviously, we're doing a bunch more, you know, with Thunder Junction coming out and with the RCQ season being Pioneer coming up here in the next like week or two. But I will see you guys next time.